Hey, what is going on, freedom fighters? Welcome back to another Break the Chains Media. Today is November 24th, 2025. November 24th, 2025. And there has been a lot going on. There's been a lot of activity. Been a lot of commotion and conversation here in the Mile High state of Colorado, because that is where the political prisoner and unjustly thrown in prison Tina Peters is stationed. She is positioned down south in Pueblo County, Colorado State Penitentiary, and she has been treated, for lack of better terms, not fairly. And recently, we have seen just a plethora of political figures, political opponents to Peters, whether it's Governor Polis, Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, and even the Colorado County clerks, all issuing very formal, very open, very arguably aggressive statements in how Donald Trump and the Federal Department of Justice would like to gain protections over Peters. And because Peters's case, because all of her crimes were state issued, the federal government doesn't really have official jurisdiction. However, there has been a lot of conversation. There's been a lot of goings on when it comes to election integrity, election security, the election process in which happens here in Colorado and across the country, regarding Smartmatic, regarding Dominion voting systems, regarding how these people and how these upper echelons of election control have their hands and have their ties in everything. And Tina Peters, arguably, is a federal witness in what happened during her entire process as the Mesa County clerk down there, and the fact that Jenna Griswold wanted to remove and eliminate the voter rolls and the voter data in these files, in these cases. And Tina Peters was witness to all this. So we're going to get into all of that. We're also going to talk about James Comey, and the James Comey and Letitia James cases were thrown out today because apparently the appointment of the attorney was unofficial. So the judge dismissed the cases, threw them out because the attorney was appointed unofficially. So we're going to get into all that. We are also going to talk about some other general news and things like that. And it's been a long week. I took some time away. Obviously, you haven't told. I wasn't really there. Hello, Sherry. Hello. Appreciate you joining the live stream. Appreciate you hanging out here on Break the Chains Media. Yeah, I took a few days off because I needed to just kind of unwind, take a step back. And of course, everything unwinds. When you take a step away, suddenly everything falls off the rails. We had the Epstein file be released, unanimous vote approval, the Epstein files through the government. Thomas Massey's bill got unanimously pushed through, which I am very hesitant and reluctant to see that there actually will be anything of merit and of value released from that. Just because the amount, if there's unanimous approval for a bill, it's probably not a good bill. Let's just be honest. Or not that it's not a good bill, it's that there's nothing that's going to really come out. I'm not holding my breath on it, and I could probably make a whole video based on just the level of shenanigans going on as far as the Epstein files and what is and is not going to be released. But we can get into that later. So yeah, I just kind of took a step back, kind of took a breath, took a beat, did some stuff around the house, feel a lot better now, feel a little bit more invigorated, passionately involved in giving you the information, giving the information out there to the people, to the public, and doing my best ability to make sure that what I put out there is effective and reasonable and informative. It has to be informative. It's just going to be something else. It's going to be the same old trash that you can find anywhere. I don't want to be the same old trash. I want to give you something new, some more insightful knowledge. But without further ado, If this is the first time joining Break the Chains Media, hit that follow button, hit that share button. Make sure everyone, your friends and family, know about this stream, because this kind of information is important, especially when we live in a world of deceit and lies and just overarching narrative-driven politics. When we just collectively follow the herd, right? And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that channel. But I want to make sure that we look at things critically and open-minded, and we want to make sure truth prevails, right? We want to make sure that justice is paramount, freedom, liberty, truth, all these things, right? We want to make sure this is what we stand for. But share this video. Follow Break the Chains Media on all social media platforms. You do have the website here, breakthechains.media. You can check out the website. You can go support the channel by picking up a bottle of Realm Walker hot sauce. I've got some awesome bottles of hot sauce, and I encourage anyone, if you're looking for Christmas gifts, great Christmas gift. Hoping to get them all bottled and ready to go around right around the Christmas time. It's gonna be pushing it, folks. But I got 4 gallons on order right now. So if you are interested, come check out the website. I've got all the different flavors. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. And then we also have the chainsaw caucus. Rev up them chainsaws, cut through the bureaucracy, broke corruption, and compromise politicians with the chainsaw caucus. Battling evil politicians and evil corruption all around. If you want to support the Chainsaw Caucus, you want to support Break the Chains Media, go check out chainsawcaucus.org. It's a $10 a month donation, and your affiliate link is in the title of this live stream below. Click on that affiliate link in the description box and put my name down there, and you can support the Chainsaw Caucus, and you can support Break the Chains Media. All right, we are going to get into it, folks. This is a wild one. Not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving parts happening with this Tina Peters case. I know she's in prison, and she's already served 1 year out of her 9-year sentence. So it's going to be. I want to kind of paint a picture for you, right? So I want to kind of like paint a picture regarding this whole Tina Peters case, what happened in Mesa County, and understand what really is going on as far as election integrity, voter rolls, voter information when it comes down to it, and the weaponized, systematic destruction of our election process here in America. And Tina Peters has been made an example of, because she actually tried to do what was federally obligated to her position as a county clerk. Tina Peters needed to preserve voter data for 2 years federally. Secretary of State Jenna Griswold said, no, it's been 6 months. We gotta wipe all that voter data. We're gonna drop it, clean it up, do new stuff. Tina Peters said, no, we're actually going to hold on to this voter data because this is important and it's part of the federal election process. So Tina Peters went against Jenna Griswold's decree to clean the voter roll. Excuse me. She did not want the voter rolls cleaned. She wanted the voter data from the 2020 election wiped off the servers, wiped off the system. Okay. Tina Peters brought in an independent third party who may or may not need to be named, but many of my posts on social media does discuss this individual, an individual named Conan Hayes. Very, very interesting how many different parts are moving in this, in the initial discovery, what happened during this Tina Peters debacle prior to her being arrested, all of her criminal counts and what unraveled. So she brought in someone to pull the data from the drives. Now, I will stand by this, is that her doing this is in violation of the law, right? I mean, what she did was unlawful to have someone bring in and extract data from the election machines, from the voter data, correct? And I'm not just discrediting that. I'm not. That aside, Tina Peters felt like it was more important and more pertinent to her, to the greater good of the country, to the greater good of the cause of the election process, to preserve the data in which Jenna Griswold wanted to destroy. Now, on a side note, Jenna Griswold, the Secretary of State, her office leaked BIOS passwords for these election machines. For months, these BIOS passwords were posted on the Secretary of State's website for months. And you know what happened with that? Some unnamed Secretary of State official, some unnamed worker got fired. That was it. But Tina Peters does no wrong. Tina Peters is the end-all be-all, the gold standard of election integrity proponent. She's standing for justice and truth and all of the right reasons, right? That's what Jenna Griswold is standing for, right? Incorrect. Let's take a listen to Jeff Hurd here. Or I'm sorry, Jeff Hurd. Not Jeff Hurd. Jeff Hurd is a piece of trash. He's the Colorado District 3. Jeff Hunt. Let's take a listen from Jeff Hunt.
This is Tina Peters, and she's making a lot of state and national news because the president is trying to get her out of state prison and into federal prison.
Yes.
Question is why? A Mesa County jury did find her guilty of 3 felony accounts of attempting to influence a public servant, 1 felony count of conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, 1 misdemeanor count of official misconduct, 1 misdemeanor count of violation of duty in elections, and 1 misdemeanor count of failure to comply with the Secretary of State. She was acquitted on 2 felony counts of criminal impersonation and 1 count of identity theft. She was sent to 9 years in prison.
Let's actually zoom in on this. Let's see if I can get a better one. All right, we're gonna replay that.
This is Tina Peters, and she's making a lot. This is Tina Peters, and she's making a lot of state and national news because the president is trying to get her out of state prison and into federal prison.
Yep.
Question is why? A Mesa County jury did find her guilty of 3 felony accounts of attempting to influence a public servant, 1 felony count of conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, 1 misdemeanor count of official misconduct, 1 misdemeanor count of violation of duty in elections, and 1 misdemeanor count of failure to comply with the Secretary of State. She was acquitted on 2 felony counts of criminal impersonation and 1 count of identity theft. She was sent to 9 years in prison. Yes, 9 years. But what makes this all fascinating is this isn't how Colorado typically treats its criminals. Take this truck driver who killed 4 people, slamming his truck into their cars. Originally faced over 100 years, Governor Polis took a call from Kim Kardashian, I'm not kidding you, and reduced his sentence to 10 years, about the same length as Tina Peters, and he's eligible for parole in 5. Or this illegal Venezuelan migrant who was accused of raping a 14-year-old girl and spent 8 days in jail before he was released. Or take Solomon here, who tried to kidnap kids from their school playground.
The hypocrisy is
charges,
wildly
trial, incarceration
insane.
At all. Or hey, you could show up to Denver as a legal immigrant, break our federal immigration laws, and the city, via the taxpayers, will provide housing, food, legal assistance, and workforce training, all at no expense. You can even be found guilty of raping a child in Colorado and only get probation.
Listen to this.
So President Trump is exactly right to be concerned about the treatment of this Gold Star 70-year-old grandmother in Colorado prisons when everyone that's violent and an actual threat to the community is being let out, and she is spending 9 years in prison. It goes to that old progressive adage that if you're actually a violent threat to the community, we'll be sure to let you out onto the streets. But if you're a political opponent, oh, no,
right.
no. Now the full weight of the judicial system must be brought to bear against you. Welcome to the blue state of Colorado. This is Tina.
So here's where we're at right now, folks. And Jeff Hunt made a brilliant example, brilliant comparison as to the state of affairs here in Colorado. They're going to lock up. Awesome. They're going to lock up Tina Peters 9 years, no parole, no chance of removal, nothing at all, because she questioned and went against the Secretary of State's orders to try to preserve federally required voter data. You're supposed to hold on to that data for 2 years. And Secretary of State Jenna Griswold wanted to destroy it after 6 months. Is there a problem there? I think there's a problem there. And that's why Tina Peters did what she did, brought into a third party and did and extracted the voter data, okay? And now Jeff Hunt's making a great comparison to the fact that rules for some but not for others, right? Rules for some but not for others. You're going to let off pedophiles, rapists, murderers, criminals, gang members, less than half sentences or 8 days in prison. But Tina Peters gets to spend 9 years in prison for her crimes, right? And this is what it really comes down to, folks. Tina Peters is a political prisoner. She is a federal witness to election meddling and tampering in not only the 2020 elections but others. And it pulls into this longer investigation, this longer election integrity narrative regarding Smartmatic, regarding Venezuela, regarding Maduro and his regime out there. Smartmatic systems was established through Venezuela. Now Smartmatic is in the UK, or it's been floated around. But all of these election systems, these electronic voting machines, these electronic voting machine systems have all been tied to and working with foreign governments. These foreign governments, these foreign entities, foreign countries operating in our country's elections. Is that not a problem? I think that's a serious problem that we have to investigate. So Jeff Hunt brings a great point, but I'm trying to tie it together and trying to show you the larger picture and the larger thing at play, right? So we're seeing this now. Governor Polis comes out a couple days ago saying that Colorado voters can trust their voices are heard in a safe, secure elections. And that's one of the things they always say. They always say safe and secure elections. Jenna Griswold always says gold standard. Our gold standard elections, right? State audits from 2019 to 2024 reviewed our over 1 million votes and found our systems are more than 99.99% accurate. Folks, that margin of error is almost incalculable. You can't be 99.99%. They're basically saying they're 100% accurate. No problems, never at all. Our elections are perfect. 100% perfect here in Colorado. Okay, well, I got a fucking bridge to sell you here, folks, because pulling this down right now, okay? Some of the chat, right? We got some of the chat. Fool's gold. Exactly. Fool's gold, I say, right? Yeah, a big old gold standard pile of shit, okay? So someone said that there are countless examples of interference. Care to share a few? Here's one. It's not from Colorado, but do you remember this? Talk about making safe and secure elections possible. They had to tape up billboards. They had to tape up poster board to block the election counting. I believe this was in Michigan, right? One example, okay? Oh, but then they say, oh, that's not from Colorado. And then I post this. How about you shut your goddamn mouth, okay? Colorado's gold standard. Election integrity. Democrat lesbian USPS worker in Colorado pled guilty to stealing and forging mail-in ballots in the 2024 election. Vicky Stewart and her lover, Sally Jane Maxtion, intercepted ballots and forged signatures. Okay? This must be the 0.01% that Governor Polis was talking about, because He said that they're 99.99% accurate and secure. Well, Exhibit A, folks. Exhibit A. And this is just the ones we report on. These are just the ones that they caught. All right? So don't tell me that the elections are safe and secure. Right? Don't tell me that. I'm gonna keep tying this knot. We're gonna keep spooling this thread because I got other information to tell you, right? So I said there's lies. There's lies, damned lies, and statistics. There's lies, damned lies, and statistics. Cretins like the governor of Colorado, Jenna Griswold, and Phil Weiser all pulpit the same gold standard narratives, while there are countless examples of election interference. Voter faith in our rigged elections in Colorado have never been lower. Okay? And this is coming from the Colorado Sun, folks. This is coming from the Colorado Sun. I got a couple hundred views on this, or good stuff. But I'm hold on to that information, okay, folks? Because we're gonna be spooling it, okay? Governor of Colorado comes out and saying how our elections are secure, okay? Governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, comes out and says our elections are safe and secure. Jenna Griswold says Colorado's elections are the gold standard of election integrity and election security, okay? Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold is worried about the Fed handling voter data. Meanwhile, her office leaked BIOS password for election machines. She's getting nervous because they're investigating Colorado voter rolls, and Jenna and all of her ilk have been rigging the game. And it's very simple, and it's we're going to show it to you in just a few minutes. So stay tuned because we got more coming. Okay? So yeah, from the Denver 7, Colorado Secretary of State sends a demand letter to find out what the feds are doing with your voter data. And see, this is what they do, right? What they do, she's gonna spin the narrative that they're going to use the voter data to hunt for illegal immigrants and hunt for migrants and violate your privacy. That's what her angle is. However, this is the real angle, folks, and I'm gonna pull it to you right now. Okay. Let's take a listen to what Jenna Greaseball has to say. Hopefully this will load all right.
The people in charge of state elections have grown increasingly skeptical about the Department of Justice's recent collection of state voter roll data. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold and 9 other states sent a letter to the DOJ today asking why they want this information and who it is being shared with. Griswold told me today election officials like her were told conflicting information, and they want to make sure federal laws are being followed. Much of the data collected contains sensitive information like Social Security and driver's license numbers.
How unusual is a request like this from the federal government?
We have not received a request like this in my tenure as Secretary of State, and it is highly unprecedented. There is lots of concerns about it, expressed by both Democratic and Republican Secretaries of State. So ultimately, we do want answers. We do not want them to use information, putting it through untested, unreliable databases to try to prove conspiracies that are unprovable because they're conspiracies.
Griswold says
that's what she just falls on, right?
The DOJ's request because data requested from Colorado was public data anyone can request and not sensitive information. The letter asks Attorney General Pam Bondi and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem to respond to the letter by December 1st.
Still to come at 6.
So that is so December 1st is the deadline to have the DOJ respond to this letter. Okay, so this letter is basically stating why the DOJ needs the information, right? And we're gonna actually bounce over to where's this other one? Yeah. So from the Rocky Mountain Voice, Griswold leads Democratic Secretaries of State pressing DOJ and DHS over federal use of voter data. We're going to read this article, okay? If she has nothing to hide, then there should be no problem. Exactly my point, Sherry. Thank you for letting me know. Cheers. You get the gold chest for right now. You get the gold chest, okay? Appreciate you. Yeah, this is what we're trying to talk about. This is what we're trying to investigate here, okay? If there's nothing to hide, or if there's nothing wrong, there should be nothing to hide, right? Colorado State Secretary Jenna Griswold leading a group of Democratic elected officials challenging the Trump administration over how the federal agencies are using requested voter roll data. Their concerns are detailed in a 4-page letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi and Homeland Security Kristi Noem. The U.S. Department of Justice has requested earlier this year for statewide voter registration lists from multiple states, including Colorado. I wonder why. Let's keep reading. In several cases, the DOJ asked for the, quote, full unredacted statewide voter registration list, including registrants' date of birth, driver's license numbers, and 4 digits of the Social Security numbers. Colorado requests its document in a May 12th letter from the DOJ Civil Rights Division, which cites 52 U.S.C. 2701, and ordered the state to produce records and internal policies within 14 days. Griswold and other state secretaries initially told the information was being collected to review compliance with the National Voter Registration Act and Help America Vote Act. But they write a Democrat Homeland Security letter told them the DHS was not receiving or using voter roll data, despite DHS publicly acknowledging it on the same day. Here's where it gets interesting, folks. Bear with me, because it's a lot to take in. I understand, but you have to kind of know the broad scope and how Colorado is actually being operated, and how they weaponize the voter rolls and the Department of Motor Vehicles, and how they register people, and how they pool all this information together, and then they get a large database. Then they can fudge some numbers, if you know what I mean, right? The Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements Program, or SAVE. That federal immigration status system is governed by a formal System of Records notice published in the Federal Register, most recently updated on October 31st, 2025. The SAVE database is designed to verify immigration status for benefits and licensing purposes. If full statewide voter rolls are fed into SAVE, federal agencies would be able to identify individuals who appear both in voter databases and in immigration status categories indicating non-citizenship. Did you hear what I just said? They're pulling information from voter rolls to compare it to immigration status, okay? That possibility is the unspoken core of the Secretary's objections. The letter repeatedly questions whether the voter information has been compared against immigration systems and asks federal officials to disclose which agencies now hold the data and what fields were shared and which system of records authorities authorize its use. Here's where it gets really interesting. Colorado's own recent history underscores the significance. In October 2022, the Secretary of State's office confirmed that approximately 30,000 non-U.S. citizens received voter registration on postcards because of supposed database matching error involving license records. You don't say. You don't say. State officials said that the postcards did not allow ineligible individuals to register, but the incident demonstrates how non-citizens enter state systems, especially when automatic voter registration is tied to the Department of Motor Vehicle Transactions. Wow. I'll say that again for you. I'll say that again. Because I got to turn down my light. It's so bright. Hold on. Got to make it, because the white, it's fine. Whatever. State officials said the postcards, hold on, where are we going? 30,000 non-U.S. citizens received voter registration postcards in Colorado because of a supposed database matching error involving driver license records. State officials said that the postcards did not allow ineligible individuals to register, but the incident demonstrated how non-citizens enter the state systems, especially when automatic voter registration is tied to the Department of Motor Vehicles Transactions. Colorado's automatic voter registration framework is anchored in Senate Bill 19-235, which transfers DMV records to election officials unless the individual opts out. So when you get registered at the Department of Motor Vehicles in the state of Colorado, you are automatically registered to vote. And you as the individual are required to opt out if you are ineligible to vote. Do you think these people actually opt out? Do you think people actually do their due diligence and opt out if they're non-legal citizens, if they're not able to vote? Spare me. Spare me. State analyses of the system, including Secretary of State's 2023 NVRA report, emphasized that increased data flow between DMV and election administration has dramatically expanded voter file updates. While intended to capture eligible citizens, the system can also pull in records belonging to non-citizens when database classifications or inputs are incorrect. So you're telling me that a Colorado state-run system, the Department of Motor Vehicles, there could be discrepancies if information's put in incorrectly. How about that? The federal request for unredacted voter files gives DHS visibility to information that can intersect with immigration records. That will reveal depends on how the data is processed and where it's ultimately housed. Okay? So this whole thing, this whole story uniquely, intimately ties with the immigration system, the immigration process, and all the illegal immigrants that are here in Colorado. Colorado gives illegal immigrants driver's licenses. When you register to drive, when you give the Department of Motor Vehicles your driver's license, you automatically get registered to vote, whether you're a legal citizen or not. So the Department of Justice is looking into this, but I genuinely think it has a lot more to do with the tying into of the Tina Peters trial and what Tina Peters uncovered and this information specifically regarding this book called Stolen. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the and I spoke on this. I spoke on this earlier, months back. We talked about this from Rasmussen Reports from this book called Stolen, right? Stolen Elections. Stolen Elections, The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide by Ralph Pizzullo. Okay? This book shows us on page 185. This is from the book, right? The engineer who actually built the algorithm stealing the election for Biden looked at me like I was an idiot and asked, "Do you think we stole the elections here in the blue counties? We're smarter than that. No, we shaved off votes from the red counties in the countryside where Trump was strong and left the blue counties untouched. We shaved off 10% in Douglas County, Colorado, and 10% in Mesa County, Colorado, and other red counties until Biden's count was over 50% nationwide." So we are looking at discrepancies between the voter rolls, what Tina Peters was talking about, what Tina Peters was trying to address, and how she was trying to save the voter data, the federal voter data that Secretary of State Jenna Griswold wanted to destroy, to cover up how they were shaving off votes in certain counties, i.e. Mesa County. Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay? So it's not like when they rig or when they interfere in an election, they don't just inject votes into the system. They have illegal immigrants to do that, and they have illegal immigrants that use the Department of Motor Vehicles that don't deregister from their voter data, that don't deregister themselves from voter rolls. So that's an added cushion into the voter database in Colorado. And then they shave off a few percentage points here and there in Republican counties, Republican strong counties. That's what they end up doing. And we see it here with Tina Peters. I get Tina Peters and Jenna Griswold's names mixed up all the time, and I don't know why. The only thing I can understand is that like it's Tina and Jenna. Tina and Jenna are very, there's 4 letters, same, whatever. But this goes back very far, very long, okay? And what is it here? I have it right here, okay? I'll pull up receipts. This is from WikiLeaks, from the 2006 WikiLeaks drop, okay? Vault 7 drop from WikiLeaks. This goes back many years. WikiLeaks in 2006 spoke of Venezuelan-owned Smartmatic systems. Tina Peters was in the thick of the corruption, election rigging, and fraud that's been happening in Colorado since the Gang of Four invaded. Okay? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we pulled out from WikiLeaks. Okay? The Venezuelan-owned Smartmatic Corporation is riddled both in ownership and operation, complicated by the fact that its machines have overseen several landslide and contested victories by President Hugo Chavez and his supporters. Okay? The electronic voting company went from a small technology startup to a market player in just a few years, catapulted by its participation in the August 2004 recall referendum. Smartmatic has claimed to be of U.S. origin, but its true owners, probably elite Venezuelan of several political strains, remain hidden behind a web of holding companies in the Netherlands and Barbados. The Smartmatic machines used in Venezuela are widely suspect of, though never proven conclusively to be, susceptible to fraud. The company is thought to be backing out of Venezuelan electoral events, focusing now on other parts of the world, including the United States via its subsidiary, Sequoia. Now, Sequoia is tied to California. Okay? Let's take a look here. This is actually from the council. This is from a council petition from the Tina Peters case. Okay? The witness drew a direct connection between Smartmatic's Venezuelan election rigging and the vulnerabilities found in Mesa County's Dominion forensic images. He testified that Dominion Systems architecture shares core elements with Smartmatic, enabling manipulation through the same methods, deliberately small log files, accessible source codes, SAES data utility-style tools, and remote man-in-the-middle connections. He concluded that Dominion Systems, built with Chinese components in a voting system designed by former Smartmatic engineers, are not secure or auditable in U.S. elections. Boom. Take that to the bank, folks. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of people talking about this stuff, but it's the chilling effect, right? It's the chilling effect that we see. Hold on. Yeah, no. We're going to, where are we at here? I'm trying to find some other ones here. I have other ones that I wanted to pull up. There's that. Okay, great. What they've done to Tina Peters and the whole institution surrounding her, lockup and all of this, and her health has been declining, like all of this stuff, it's none of it's good. None of it's good. Okay? But as per The Guardian, okay? Let me actually pull up my let me pull up on my timeline here because I had it here. There's yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna show you that. Okay. Bring in receipts, folks. I called this out months ago when they were targeting drug boats back in the summer. When they were targeting the Venezuelan drug boats, remember that? Venezuelan drug boats and this whole cartel, the whole gang that they're playing. Don't get me wrong. I don't like this extrajudicial, like, you know, bombing of boats. It's very bad optics, right? Very bad optics. But this is the move that they are unfortunately forced to make in a time when we're way beyond the pale. We're way beyond the time scale of conversation. Unfortunately, we're stuck in very difficult times right now. The narco-terrorist stance was the angle to get them involved in Venezuela. Ties to the 2020 election, ties to Tina Peters, ties to open societies. They need to get into Venezuela, boots on the ground, and extract Smartmatic voting machine intel and those involved in Venezuela. That's the play. From leading report, breaking, the Trump DOJ is reportedly investigating claims Venezuela helped steal the 2020 election, per The Guardian. Okay? Now we're bouncing over here. From The Guardian, Trump's DOJ investigation unfounded claims Venezuela helped steal the 2020 election. Okay? And this all ties back to January 6th, right? talking about January 6th and the Stop the Steal movement, right? All of these things are intimately tied together. Stopping the steal, election integrity, voter suppression, Tina Peters' case, all of it. It ties to Smartmatic systems, ties to Dominion voting machines. It ties to the Venezuela conflict that's happening right now. It's all tied together, and I'm trying to present it on like in a big buffet, right? And it's a lot to take in, but this is the information that we have, right? Federal investigators have been interviewing multiple people who are pushing unfounded claims that Venezuela helped steal the 2020 election from Donald Trump, The Guardian has learned. Two promoters of the conspiracy theory have repeatedly briefed the U.S. attorneys for the District of Puerto Rico. W. Stephen Muldrow have shared witness and documents with officials, according to 4 sources. Muldrow declined to comment. Okay? This whole article here, folks. I mean, this whole article basically, I did a summary of it, and it resorts back to unfounded claims. There's no proof. Our elections are secure, and everything's good. Okay. Ralph Pizzullo, we're gonna read here. Ralph Pizzullo, the co-author of the Bernstein 2006 book, is a true believer in the conspiracy theory of Bernstein and Rodil are promoting now. In September, Pizzullo published an ebook called Stolen Elections, A Takedown of Democracies Worldwide, which described the Venezuela conspiracy theory and based on the accounts of Bernstein and Model and the witnesses they introduced to Pizzullo. Pizzullo wrote that the U.S. voting was, quote, a system created in Venezuela and still electronically linked to Venezuela that is designed to steal the elections by remotely altering results. Pizzullo said he had too spoken to Muldrow about the allegations. Pizzullo told The Guardian that his phone call with Muldrow was set up by Bernstein and claimed Muldrow assured him that the claims of the election fraud were correct. They've been attacking the U.S. with the election machines and with the drugs, Pizzullo said. Trump knows they need to be stopped. This is the angle that he's going on with this Venezuela angle, okay? The Venezuela angle is more than just drugs. There's cartels. The cartel works with the corrupted government in Venezuela, ties to our whole system, okay? Let me find it here. Where is it? Because I have this. This is, I wanted to show you this, but there's something else. Where is it? No. It's back. We're going down here. Let me find it. Because I posted this, and it got a lot of traction. Yeah, this one here. Okay. Is it this one? No. Maybe. Hold on. There was a lot of comments. Where is it at, though? There was a video. Because this is the county clerks. But this might not, it's probably this one. Conan Hayes. Okay, can we not? Need that. Didn't need that. Didn't need that. Sorry, I'm trying to find it because I had it here, but trying to follow through with all this stuff on Twitter is just kind of it gets overwhelming. It's this one maybe no. We can watch this one though. We can watch this because this ties in with the proof of election interference. But I want to say it's this one. No. Sorry, folks. Appreciate y'all hanging out though right now. Let me. I'm trying to. That's the gun. That's. Maybe it's here. Okay. All right. Where is it? Let me, because I had the video perfectly queued up. Let me pull it back. We're taking a break. Well, not really taking a break. We're just hanging out. Let me find this. Let me know in your chat. What are you guys' thoughts in the chat? Because while I find this, I'll keep looking, checking it out. It is. Oh my God! Can you stop? No. Where is this? Maybe this one. Gold standard. No. That was, we were in it before. It was a Laura Logan. Let me do this. We're just gonna do this. Pull up the bookmarks. Find the bookmarks. Okay, here it is. Here it is. I found it. We're good. We're good now. Let's keep going. Okay. This is it. Okay. This is from it was a 2-hour reel. Sorry. It's a 2-hour video. Laura Logan had on these people. They talked about all this election stuff, the Trenderawagra, corruption, you name it. But they pull in this information about Venezuela, Colorado, and how all of our elections are pulled and tied together intimately. So let's take a look here. Okay. Let's watch it out.
They know where they can find the dead people that they need to get certain votes. They plan this, as Gary said before.
It's meticulous.
It's meticulous. These guys are experts at this. It's not just a few guys in a back room. You're talking about hundreds of statisticians and engineers, and they work it, for a year.
And mathematicians.
Right.
And hackers.
Right.
We had a map out of Colorado when we were talking to our engineers, the guys that designed it and stole the elections. And we looked at it and we said, look, it's Denver here and Colorado Springs, all the Democrats, they said, and they looked at us in pity,
Yeah.
Like, here's something. I said, no, we just go to every one place where Trump wins 70-30 and he's winning 68, or we shave in every other place. We don't go near a Democratic place because when they want to do recounts, they're going to go to the Democratic places. They don't realize we shaved in every other committee. We know every other county. We know how to do this. And then in each of those things where they shave with a different technique in each one of those. So if you found something in one county, there's no continuity around the state that way.
So this is why the Republicans are so much at fault, because they have the power and the ability to show in their areas. They can allow access to the machines. They can allow access to the source code. They can allow
But they thought we just won by 35%. Okay, we didn't win by 38.
Yeah.
We won by 35, so no one's going to call to they should have, right?
Because everyone says, well, we expected the Republicans to win by a majority. Well, it was a little less than we thought it was going to be, but they still won, so, no harm, no foul. But the evidence of the fraud is right there, and they could show it.
They never looked at it.
Yeah, excellent. I highly recommend, if anyone's interested, you can see. There's a full episode here from Laura Logan. It's a 2-hour video. I highly recommend checking it out. I might just click share it out, but this is how they do it, right? And Denver fails on this all the time, posting all like the election process workflow, like Unite for Freedom, and Denver fail. Excellent. Highly recommend following him. This may be how they're doing it. There's thousands of ways to do it in Colorado. The whole voting architecture is so complex and voter registration is so lax that nobody has any idea what's going on. And that's exactly the kind of setup that is required to allow this kind of nefarious behavior to go on unchecked. If you have so much convolution happening within the system, within the structure, voter rolls here, outdated voter rolls, different voter registration systems, bringing in illegals, shaving off percentage points here and there. This is how they do it, folks. Okay? And this is I'm going to save this right now because this is, I actually want to look at this particularly. Everyone needs to know how the process actually gets done and counted, right? Because there's so many steps. There's so many steps it takes, right? But the reason that I'm going off on this rant right now, the reason I'm going into this tirade, is because the treatment that Tina Peters was received, they made her a political martyr. Like, they made Tina Peters an example of. They made sure that no one else is allowed to question the integrity of the voter systems and the voting structure in which they themselves, the globalists, are corruptly controlling to ensure a leftist Democrat victory in cycle over cycle. It's a long draw process. But if more people do what Tina Peters did, we'd find out what happened, right? And maybe I'm not saying that people go out and objectively break the law, because I have to be clear is that, like, Tina Peters bringing in third independent people outside of the county clerks, that is a law breaking thing. Like, she did break the law, right? Like, but the sentencing in which she got, the treatment in which she's being received is extraordinary, right? By all accounts. Okay. Mark Cook, Patriot Mark Cook on X, post this. If anyone hasn't seen the Tina Peters sentencing yet, you need to. I have shown this to attorneys all over the country. They have never seen anything like this. Not only is this judge out of his mind, but Tina was not allowed to enter her evidence into the trial to exonerate her, to prove X, Y, and Z, to give evidence. The judge denied Tina Peters' evidence into the trial. Even I, who spent many months investigating and uncovering all kinds of evidence, was not allowed to testify in her trial about anything except BIOS passwords. They narrowed the scope of the evidence. If you want to see true evil, here you go. And remember, this could be your mother, your wife, your grandmother. If these demons will do this to Tina, they will do it to anyone, and dares to question to expose their secrets. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not negotiate with demons. We do not hide and cower from them. Evil prevails when good men do nothing. You need to take action. And this is a 20-minute clip. I'll repost this from Mark Cook, but this is the sentencing of Tina Peters and what the judge said. The judge spoke for 20 minutes, but I'm just going to play you a little excerpt of it.
My mind that it convinced to the community. And I know, too, that he honored his oath to the country, something that is not lost on me when considering the circumstances under which
speaking about his
your age, limited
Tina
criminal
Peters'
history,
life.
and the like are certainly somewhat mitigating your ties to the community.
Let me go back.
Sadly, passed away recently.
He's speaking about Tina Peters' son, Gold Star. She's a Gold Star mom. Son died.
Your family struggles, and your son, who served our country admirably and made the ultimate sacrifice. I consider it. And I know, too, that he honored his oath to the country, something that is not lost on me when considering the circumstances under which you find yourself. Your age, limited criminal history, and the like are certainly somewhat mitigating. Your ties to the community are what they are, but your reputation at this point is poor because of what you've done here and after. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You don't have those histories of drug and alcohol abuse. There's no lifetime of trauma, not even close to the type of mitigating circumstances I would see from many folks who sit in that chair. No, to the contrary, Ms. Peters, you are a privileged person.
She's a privileged person, is what he just said.
And you use that privilege to obtain power, a following, and fame. And to be sure, there's no doubt in my mind that is exactly what you wanted, and it defies all sense of common sense to believe when you suggested to me a few moments ago that you didn't want this attention. No, you crave it, ma'am. And there is no one in this courtroom who would consider that to be anything other than the absolute truth.
This judge, so I watched this video. It's a 20-minute video of the judge just berating Tina. And just his vindictive nature and the way he talks and the way he delivers and just how smug and rude he is. How he holds the power over Tina. And to make an example, like I said, this judge is trying to make an example of anyone who questions the gold star standards of our elections, right? You can't question the elections. How unpatriotic of you to question the elections.
But to get to the point of what it is that you did here, it's my impression distinctly that you never took your job of clerking particularly seriously. You didn't.
So evil. I can't, like, there was another part here.
Peace with all the decisions I've made here. Every time it's shown to be false, just another tale is weaved. Did you with?
Yeah, I'm going to listen to this part here. I think
someone who holds a position of influence like you.
Like, he's just so
of our democratic process.
He talks about the democratic process.
At the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you.
Evil.
And this is what makes Miss Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies. The undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. It's not about questioning it. No one says you can't question, you can't ask. It's completely different. And if you don't understand that distinction, then there's nothing I can say or do here today that will change your mind.
Listen, like, just the level of just complete ignorance to the fact that this woman is doing her job to try to protect the federal required voter rolls, and the fact that what she was trying to do was in breach of what, like, Tina Peters was trying to. Let me calm down. I'm gonna calm down. Tina Peters was trying to save the voter rolls on a federal level. Jenna Griswold directed the county clerks to destroy the federal required voter roll data. Required to be held onto, but for 2 years. Jenna Griswold, her Secretary of State office, wanted to destroy that, and Tina Peters said no. That's really what it comes down to. And then everything that unraveled because of that, because of what Tina Peters was trying to preserve. Tina Peters was trying to preserve this data. Jenna Griswold and the Secretary of State's office was trying to destroy this data. And now she's being lambasted and made an example of. Right? Let me try to find... let me see. So this is from Mark Cook. Do I have the other... Okay, let's watch this one now. Okay, let's watch this now. Okay, because this is from the movie that they made. They made a movie. Okay, but listen.
But the image is a perfect copy.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
was
a
perfect
clone
copy
of the system.
Of a hard drive.
Forensic copy, bit for bit, of everything that was on the Mesa County computer.
I had some people who knew my capabilities that said, you really ought to look at this.
She's the clerk. So those systems operation for an election, it was her duty to preserve those election records.
And then when they compared the two images, they discovered that election records had been deleted or altered. 29,000 of them.
Yep.
That are the fingerprints, the DNA, the blood type of how they got to the totals of the 2020 and the 2021 election.
Just to clarify, there were 2 forensic images taken of the Mesa County election server. One before the software update. Another image taken after. Then, you were able to compare the 2.
Everything that had been on that drive before this update was gone.
Looks like a cover-up. Low risk of being caught. Low consequence if they are caught.
Yep.
I mean, there's a layered defense against transparency for the public.
The reason we know it was deliberate is because of Tina Peters.
Are those files important to elections?
Critical.
Well, doesn't the Colorado Secretary of State claim they are not important?
Best case, she's wildly ignorant. The federal voting system standards are very clear that the election records that are required to audit a voting system include the digital records that are all the log files generated by that voting system, especially when it's a complex computer system.
Yeah, so that's why, and then all of this, these are other screenshots, but I need to find this other one from Ivan. Where is Ivan at? Let me see here. These are all my bookmarks. I have, where is, here it is. So Ivan Rakin, okay? Great guy. Listen, here we go, okay? Jenna Griswold should be charged with the following federal crimes in her role as Secretary of State of Colorado in the 2020 elections. 18 U.S.C. 595, 18 U.S.C. 1512, 18 U.S.C. 1512K, 18 U.S.C. 1519, 52 U.S.C. 10307A, 52 U.S.C. 2511, 52 U.S.C. 2511 subsection 2. Okay? Ivan's doing the work. We all need to be doing the work and speaking vocally about this issue. The DOJ must designate here, and this is really what I'm trying to get to. This is really what I'm trying to get to here. The DOJ must designate real Tina Peters. Wow, I don't need to say her fucking name like that, but hey. The DOJ must designate Director Gatis Saralita raid the Colorado prison where Tina is located to extract her from the custody of the very Colorado terrorist that's keeping Tina hostage. The problem with this plan is that it requires courage, right? Something that this administration doesn't have, and since the most powerful one in the world, the one who can destroy a country with a single phone call, doesn't want to help Tina. Tina will continue to rot in prison. This is what it comes down to, and this is what I'm asking, right? This is what I'm asking. This is what Ivan's asking. They need to designate Tina Peters as a federal witness to the election of 2020 and the crimes that were committed. The list is right here for all to see. Jenna Griswold committed these crimes. Tina Peters was federal witness to these crimes. They need to extract her from the Colorado Department of Prisons, okay, and bring her as under federal protection. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's trying to do right now. That's exactly why this whole hullabaloo with Tina Peters is actually taking foot. Because Tina Peters saw what happened in Mesa County. And if she knows what happened in Mesa County, it could be happening all across the state and across the country. This is how they manipulate elections. Okay? I'm not going to read this whole thing, but oh my God. This is a great post, Ivan. I will repost this as well. We got a lot of stuff to repost, but this is why I say this. Your sound is cutting out. Maybe I'm peaking. Maybe I'm too loud. Is it better now? Hey, thanks for letting me know. Hopefully it's not that bad. Appreciate you being my my eyes and ears out there, Sherry. Appreciate you jumping in. 2511. Your sound is cutting out. Maybe it was too close to my face. But Tina Peters is a pivotal witness for exposing the election corruption in Colorado and nationwide. Colorado County election clerks request that Jared Polis, the governor of Colorado, not to release Tina Peters to the Trump administration. They know how compromised the Colorado voting process is. The county clerks of Colorado are running cover and protecting their own. They don't want to be caught in the middle of this. So the Colorado County clerks released these letters, or this letter. Colorado County clerks released this letter to Governor Polis, pleading with him to not release Tina Peters to the Trump administration. I wonder why. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Dear Governor Polis, we, the multi-partisan Colorado County Clerks Association, respectfully ask that you not transfer former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters into federal custody. We also request an in-person meeting with you prior to any decision so you can hear directly from the election officials who experienced the consequences of Mrs. Peters' actions. Colorado clerks, Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliated have spent decades building one of the most accessible, secure, and transparent election systems in the nation. They say this all the fucking time, okay? They've done so by following the law exactly as written, preserving all required records, maintaining air-gapped and physical secured systems, enforcing chain of custody procedures, and working openly with bipartisan judges, canvass boards, and observers. Every clerk in the state adhered to Colorado meticulous certification, audit, and oversight requirements. Did you now? Did you? Because here's the thing, and this is when the conspiracy hat really like starts to take hold. Is yeah, they say they're following the laws as written by the Colorado election officials, right? They are following the law, but what happens when those laws were written by people designed to intimately disrupt and corrupt the system? If those people that wrote the laws were intentionally writing these laws that the county clerks now have to follow, if they were writing these laws that are being followed by the book, knowingly trying to subvert the election process here in Colorado, then of course they're not breaking the law, and they're adhering to the high standard that was set. But the laws themselves are the reason why the corruption takes place. The laws themselves that are put in place are the reason why the infrastructure and the election database is so insecure. That's what I'm trying to say. What is up, Sick of Shitty Gov? Here's a treasure chest for you. Thanks for popping in. Mrs. Peters was one of the clerks who chose not to. Her actions were not mistakes or misunderstandings. They were deliberate violations of Colorado law. Yes, they were, in order to preserve the election integrity of the federal government. What Jenna Griswold told her to do was against the federal law. To wipe and reset the data was illegal on a federal level. Security cameras in restricted election areas were turned off. Unauthorized individuals were brought into secure spaces under falsified credentials. Established safeguards were bypassed, and routine election procedures were misrepresented as evidence of wrongdoing. You know what, Sick of Shitty Gov? You're not wrong in those arguments, right? This is what we're fighting against. We are fighting against a corrupt system who has been built from the beginning, whose the legal law on paper is already corrupted. The corruption's already been set in place as law in Colorado. Mail-in voting. Colorado's mail-in voting. And Colorado using the Department of Motor Vehicles, and when you register for a motor vehicle information, when you go apply for a license at the Department of Motor Vehicles, they automatically register you to vote. It all ties into this whole huge corrupt system. Yeah, Griswold's eyes has the exact same vibe as Charlie Manson's. Oh, let me actually, on that note, Seth, I'll show you what I have. Okay, am I looking at bookmarks here? Let me show you one of my favorite posts I made earlier. These are the bookmarks. Okay. All my evidence, all the stuff for election. But let me show you what I posted. No, is it in the bookmarks? Fuck. This is all election-based stuff, all of it. And I have to blast it out there. But no, let me go to this. Let me go to this. These are the bookmarks too. I gotta show you this, Seth. I gotta show you it. It's great. Talking about Jenna Griswold's eyes. I'll show you one. Show you one that I posted. Yeah, this one. Okay. I posted this for Halloween, right? It's Halloween. Oh, wow. It's Halloween season, Colorado. One of these photos depicts a young, power-hungry witch leading a coven of her cult followers. She casts spells and craves more from her witchcraft, eventually going insane. The other is Nancy Downs from the 1996 movie The Craft. See what I did there? They got the crazy face. They got the crazy eyes. God, that fucking, I want to blind my eyes. Right? Crazy, right? It's all kind of crazy. But the ones that would have to be tracked down during Civil War II would probably be the bunkers riding out, armed guards and all that. Probably still wouldn't get justice for what they caused. Can't even deport Ilhan Omar. Yeah. No, and this is the feckless nature of our government, right? And this is where we're at right now. We're in a time right now that we are so wrapped up in like just a spaghetti, a pile of corruption spaghetti, right? The fact that I'm here trying to talk to you about voter, like the systemic corruption of our voting system, right? Our voting system has been broken and is corrupted, okay? From the top down, okay? We got Jenna Griswold, like, she's saying she did nothing wrong releasing the BIOS passwords. I've got articles from Forbes talking about voting machine company. Like they targeted Lou Dobbs, they targeted Mike Lindell, they targeted Tina Peters, they targeted Sidney Powell. How many different people did they target, right? And it goes to show you, folks, they target Lou Dobbs, they target Sidney Powell, they target Mike Lindell, they target Tina Peters, they target anyone and everyone who questions the integrity of our voting system, right? This foreign voting machine company wants to take over America. Okay, talking about Smartmatic machines that are tied to Venezuela, that has Smartmatic systemic infrastructure is tied to Dominion voting machines, which resides in Colorado. Dominion voting systems is in Colorado now. Just recently got bought out by, I think it was Liberty Voting Systems or Patriot Voting Systems. Interesting how there's a handoff, a selling and buying of Dominion systems in this last year. Sequoia electronic voting machines in California. All these electronic voting machines are designed to skim and manipulate and skew voting results. And it's not falsifying voting data. It's tweaking and manipulating county by county districts, small scale to equate to a larger corruption, to a larger election interference. That is how the system plays. That's what I'm trying to say in this live stream, folks. I'm ranting and I'm rumbling, but I mean, like, I've got articles on articles from The Guardian claiming about the Venezuelan connection with the 2020 the Venezuelan connection to the 2020 election. That's a whole sentence, right? The mafia would lead the country better and would have more morals than these politicians do. Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. Smartmatic. Okay? Great article here from the Miami Herald. After disputed vote, Smartmatic said it left Venezuela, but its software was used in more elections. Okay? Interesting, right? Very interesting. What is that? They literally used a third-party company to hide the participation of Smartmatic, but it was Smartmatic that provided the technicians to have the software ready to use in the voting machines. A source who was on the National Electoral Council at the time told the Herald. Two other sources who served on the Electoral Council had first-hand knowledge of the 2017 and 2018 elections confirmed the story. They asked not to be named because they fear of the safety of their families still in Venezuela. This is all real happening. It's happening. This article was written in a year ago, October 2024. Okay? It's all still going on. And this is why Trump is trying to go down into Venezuela, because they need to get something from Venezuela. Trump and the DOJ and our whole administration, Trump needs to get down to Venezuela, boots on the ground, and extract some sort of tangible evidence intel for the election corruption that happened in 2020 and beyond, to tie in and to bring this bigger picture down to say electronic voting machines, electronic voting systems are corrupted and are used to infiltrate our democratic process, the process that Democrats always pulpit as the gold standard. These election machines, these election digital process systems, these digital systems are the reason why our system is corrupt. That is why. That is why Trump, in my opinion, is going down to Venezuela right now. He's using the guise of the Tren de Aragua and the drug smuggling as the ruse to get him boots on the ground in Venezuela to hopefully obtain and gather some intel, some evidence of this larger dragnet corruption that is infiltrated countries across the world to manipulate and steal elections. Take that to the bank. And the Guardian says it's an unfounded claim. Okay? Well, it's all right here. The numbers didn't match. El Paso's canvass exposed a statewide reporting failure. El Paso canvass exposes a statewide reporting failure that the state never explained. This is from the 2025 election. Talking about discrepancies in voter data again. Has Trump got any elites in prison? Remember, yeah, no. And that's a sad thing. That's a sad state of affairs we're dealing with right now. Sick of shitty gov. Is that I don't know if Trump and the administration right now has any more time to do what needs to be done. And what needs to be done is arrests and prosecutions, trials, convictions. And we just lost Letitia James and Comey cases because the judge threw them out on the grounds that the attorney was improperly appointed to her position. This is the kind of weaponized lawfare, and the corrupt system is infiltrated all branches from the state level up to the federal level. We've got county clerks towing the line for this larger corruption narrative of the election interference, right? We've got Colorado County clerks telling Polis not to release Tina Peters to federal witness protection. And all of it ties back into this. All of it ties together, folks. It's all here. I had Grok review a bunch of it. Grok review these articles. Okay, I mean we're drinking from a fire hose here. We are drinking from a fire hose here in regards to the corruption that has been present and rampant for years, decades, arguably, ever since like the whole hanging Chad debacle in 2000. Okay, it's disgusting. Let me see here. So yeah, I said it here. Okay, this is we're landing the plane now. It's been over an hour. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I know I rant. I always say I don't want to do a live stream longer than an hour, but here we are, folks. Another hour. Okay. Yep. It's all tied together. Tina Peters, Jenna Griswold, Colorado's corrupt elections, mail-in ballots, targeting Venezuela, January 6th, Smartmatic, Dominion, and their entire buyout, all of it. It's all about globalist control in American elections to sway the needle to a uniparty, leftist, quasi-communist style control. All of it needs to be exposed and stopped in order to save America. What do you got to say about that, Gandalf?
You shall not pass!
Yeah, I don't know who Gandalf is actually addressing in that, because right now we're at an impasse here, folks. We are in an impasse when we have when we have our federal Department of Justice unable to oust the criminals that are infiltrated Colorado elections right now. We must focus all of our energy and might on election fraud. This is the main issue. This is the main energy that we need to retain. And we can't stop speaking. We have to continue speaking about this. This isn't going away. And this is how they're taking our country from us. They're taking our country from us because of their corrupt voting systems. Okay? All of this would be simply remedied. Okay? Very simple way to fix all this, okay? All of this could be easily remedied by doing this, by doing this, okay? If we had same day, in-person, paper ballots, hand-counted, national holiday. If we had all of this, save a few very unique cases of absentee balloting and mail-in ballots to those who can't get there, but make sure we have that at a higher threshold, extremely high threshold of approving a mail-in ballot to, let's say, voters in retirement communities or rural areas. We need to set those standards for mail-in balloting and absentee balloting extremely high. None of this universal mail-in ballot that Colorado has. None of this weeks and weeks to vote. The chain of custody is so lax, and they always lean into this. Oh, well, we have electronic systems that verify signatures. We have a gold standard of election process, and we have the best voting record and the best election process here in Colorado, and people look up to bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay? They speak like this so they can get away with the corruption over and over again. And their goal is to shift us into a leftist-controlled, quasi-socialist type state. I can't believe the COVID didn't wake up American people. I was so sure that it was going to be all the thing that Americans were going to say finally. Well, I was wrong. Yeah, dude, I thought COVID was going to be the end-all be-all of the Great Awakening. I thought COVID was going to be the Great Awakening to this whole system, right? To this whole problem that we have right now. We can't outlaw the mutilation of children, the murder of babies. I don't see paper ballots and hand counting coming back unless you can find a way for them to kill kids while they're doing it. And that's the thing, is that so many, the left has their like third rail, these no concessions. They will not make concessions on abortion. They will not make concessions on transing of children. This is utter insanity that the left is standing on, right? It makes, then on the right, I mean, what do we really have on the right? I mean, gun control, but you even have right, you have conservatives saying that we need safe and, sane gun control. What is sane gun control, folks? I don't know, but it's not regulating guns. It's discrediting, it's allowing us to have constitutional carry nationwide. It's removing the taboo and education of guns and gun ownership, right? We're so far down the rabbit hole, folks. We're all in trouble, and I don't know how we're gonna rectify this. I don't know how we're gonna posting. And there's this whole other thing talking about. I was gonna make a separate issue, or I was gonna make a separate video on the over 3,600 alleged campaign finance violations by top Colorado Democrats. Okay? You want to talk about corruption? Phil Weiser, Jenna Griswold, Michael Bennett all drink from the same corrupt pond. Okay? You want to talk about corruption? It's crazy to me, right? You want to talk about corruption. 3,674 alleged campaign finance violations by top Colorado Democrats running in 2026. Phil Weiser, Jenna Griswold, and Michael Bennett all drink from the same corrupt pond. This, plus their reaction to the DOJ voter data investigation, is very telling. Okay? Campaign finance storm erupts as Weiser, Bennett, and Griswold face 3,674 alleged violations. Guys, I mean, really? We're gonna let these criminals walk around the street free? Yeah. Why aren't those Colorado candidates in orange and behind bars? Exactly my question. Why aren't we, if we're run by, like the judge that sentenced Tina Peters, if we're gonna stand by the rule of law and this following the rule of democracy and protecting our American democracy, as these Democrats always pulpit, why are these Democrats here in Colorado, Weiser, Bennett, and Griswold, that are facing 3,674 alleged campaign finance violations, not behind bars? It gets me fired up, dude. It gets me fired up.
You shall not pass!
It's crazy to me, man. November 2020. Wow, excuse me. Denver, November 2025. Colorado's 2026 election landscape was shaken today as two major new campaigns finance violation complaints were filed against gubernatorial candidate Phil Weiser and Michael Bennett, bringing the statewide total to 3,674 alleged violations by three of the Democrat, Colorado, excuse me, I'm just rambling now. Colorado's 2026 election landscape was shaken today as two new major finance campaign violations were filed against gubernatorial candidates Philip Weiser and Michael Bennett, bringing the statewide total to 3,674 alleged violations by three of the Colorado Democrat Party's most prominent candidates. Quote, no Colorado citizen has ever filed an evidence-based campaign finance action this large, covering this many statewide candidates and with this volume of documented violations. This is unprecedented in scale. The filings come just 48 hours after the Colorado Attorney General's office held up a separate complaint alleging 492 violations by Attorney General Jenna Griswold, confirming the validity and seriousness of the allegations. Almost 2,000 violations by Attorney General Phil Weiser, including hundreds of contributions lacking the required donor name, address, employer, or occupation information, totaling in $200,000 in aggregate monetary value improperly disclosed. 1,100 violations by Senator Michael Bennett, totaling $150,000. Folks, if they're going to talk about election integrity and making the voters have faith in our election process, the top three Democrat candidates in Colorado are facing over 3,000 alleged campaign finance violations. What the fuck is going on in Colorado? Both filings cite violations of CRS 1-45-108, 1A1 and 2, which require campaigns to itemize contributions of $20 or more to report employer occupation data for contributions of $100 or more. Griswold complaint already validated by initial review. Earlier this week, the Deputy Attorney General Lee Reichert accepted a separate but similar campaign finance complaint alleging 492 disclosure violations of the Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Colorado Attorney General's Department of Law upheld the allegations, formally validating the complaint. Deputy AG Reichert wrote, the DOL initially determined that complaints was timely and filed, identifies more potential violations of Colorado campaign finance law, and alleges sufficient facts to support legal and factual basis regarding one or more of the alleged violations. Folks, we are in unprecedented time, okay? It's all about missing addresses, missing donor names, filing. I mean, it's all here. But got to make sure Tina Peters is in jail for 9 years because she tried to uphold the sanctity of federal elections and making sure that the voter data was actually secured and not erased. as that Jenna Griswold wanted it done, right? This is the kind of corruption that we need to call out in Colorado, folks. This is the kind of corruption that destroys countries from the inside. They are trying to take over this country with the left-wing uniparty, right? And I say uniparty because there were Republicans involved that allow it to happen. The Republicans involved, the county clerks here in Colorado, let this kind of shit fly. Are you the kind of people that are going to let this shit fly? Not on my watch. Not on my watch. I'm tired of it, folks. And keep ranting, but Jesus. I got so much stuff here, and I'm going to be reposting a lot of this. A lot of this I have bookmarked and saved. So you're going to have to follow Break the Chains M on X. Follow Break the Chains M on X. Follow Instagram, Break the Chains Media on Instagram. If you want to be a part of this change, if you want to be sharing this information with your friends and family, I will be sharing reels from this live stream, hopefully trying to make it a little bit more concise, because that's the whole thing, folks. I've gone on for an hour and a half. How the fuck are you supposed to share an hour and a half live stream with your friends and family? They're not going to sit and watch me blab on. I got to make these short, quick clips. So that's what we're going to do, folks. We are going to be wrapping up this stream. But make no mistake, folks. There is a larger thing. There's a larger moves at play. There are larger things at play right now happening here in Colorado and across the country. You got Trump. Trump is targeting Venezuela because the Venezuela has ties to the Smartmatic systems that have infrastructure in the Dominion systems and the Sequoia systems in California. Venezuelan infrastructure, the software infrastructure is tied into our electronic voting systems here. And it's not about adding or skewing votes radically. It's just about skimming a little bit off the top, a little bit here, a little bit there, where the Republicans aren't going to question it. Oh, the Republicans lost by a couple percentage points, or instead of a Republican county winning by 70%, they won by 68%, right? It's those couple little percentage points that skew a larger scale, right? And that's the problem, folks. So I'm trying to make it light. I'm trying to bring light to this. It all ties to Tina Peters. It ties into the January 6th stuff. The whole Stop the Steal. The whole January 6th thing was about stopping stolen elections, okay? And then they demonized, right? The whole January 6th thing was about stopping the steal, about stopping corrupt elections. The January 6th Stop the Steal movement became the insurrection and the most dangerous day in American history, right? Well, these people were trying to question the election results of the 2020 election. They were asking and demanding proper investigation into these election results. Tina Peters is a pivotal character that played a role in that. She's living now 9 years in prison in Colorado Penitentiary. Donald Trump's trying to get her out as a federal protected witness in this larger case, which is why the Colorado County clerks, why Governor Polis, and why so many people in Colorado are up in arms. Oh, the DOJ is looking into voter data. The DOJ is investigating Colorado voter data. Not only that, but they're trying to tie it all together with the whole Tina Peters thing to make sure that she's protected and she's safe. Federal protection is required for her. She's a federal witness in an election conspiracy in the 2020 election, in my opinion. Smartmatic systems tied to Venezuela, Dominion voting systems based in Colorado, Sequoia voting systems based in California, all these electronic voting machines, all this electronic voting data infrastructure plays a unique and intimate role in how the country's elections play out. Tina Peters found something in Mesa County, and Donald Trump and the DOJ need to protect her. They need to get her out of Colorado prison right now, and they need to use what she knows and the information that she's tied with to exonerate this larger problem that we're facing right now today. voter faith in our election process has never been lower. Our election integrity is abysmal. The participation is to the lowest recorded level because no one trusts the election process. And the ones that do are too ignorant or too blinded by their partisan politics. Mostly Democrats believe that we have the most safe and secure elections. We have the safest and secure elections of human history ever recorded, using electronic systems that can be easily manipulated through back doors and tweaking votes based on counties, jurisdictions, precincts, going down to the precinct level of some of these votes, right? This is how they do it. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to, and the way they take America over is election cycle over election cycle. They manipulate, tweak, and find their way in the system to rig it. Well, I'm not having it, and that's why I'm speaking out about it. And I want you all to speak out about it too. Let your friends and family know that this is the largest and most important issue that we have faced today. Okay, in my opinion, and it's tough when we're dealing with illegal immigration, when we're dealing with the fentanyl, opium, drugs, crime. We're dealing with the transing of children, the open, full-term abortion in some states. We're dealing with so much evil in the world right now. It's hard to focus on a common enemy. But I think the most important thing that we need to focus on is bringing the faith back in our election process and allowing our voice to actually be heard, because that's what's being silenced right now, is the lawfare that goes into it, the legislative effects to rewriting certain laws in certain states to manipulate how elections are played out in the states. That plays huge into how they end up running the elections against us. Right? That's my 2 cents. But folks, I do appreciate you being here and now on this Monday here on Break the Chains Media. I'm going to be doing a little bit more shorter form stuff, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit better as the delivery goes. But yeah. What is up, Will? What is going on, guys? Let me just check the chat here really quick. Yeah. Yeah, I know, dude. I see that. So yeah, right? I feel the same thing. So actually, this is actually what I wanted to do. If you're still there, I wanted to move this. So it's here, but you can't really read it. So maybe I tweak the camera and I put it up here, right? So it doesn't keep getting blocked. I totally see what you're saying though. Cause yeah, when I sit, it just says "be gay" all the time, and I see that, and it pisses me off too. Think about how big the January 6th would have been if most of us didn't realize it was a massive honeypot. I was gonna go, but I knew the outcome would have been because J6 was a setup. Exactly, J6 was a setup. So, and this is what they do. The January 6th stuff, right? Yeah, it's a skateboard. Yeah. Yeah, you can actually pick that skateboard up at the Boonies, theboonieshq.com. Tim Pool's skate company. He's got a lot of cool boards. But no, January 6th January 6th was part of this whole January 6th was part of the whole dissolution and the whole dissuasion against questioning elections, right? If the January 6th thing wasn't a federal honeypot, wasn't a Fedsurrection, and people actually got to question the election results, and Mike Pence wasn't such a cucked VP and actually did his job, and we could actually go back to these states that had questionable election results, it could have been done then. But it was all planned and designed to besmirch and smear anyone who questions election integrity, anyone who questions the election results. So that's the problem. They use that as a huge national story to say, all these election deniers, anyone who questions the election denier is no different than a January 6th insurrectionist. See, this is how they do it, right? That's the problem. And that is what they do, and that's how we become demonized in our positions to only asking and honestly wanting fair and honest and true elections. That's the problem. And that's why it's all tied together. It's all tied together. But I am wrapping this up. It's been an hour and 42. Let's see if there's anyone live right now that I could raid. Let's see here. Do I have some of my other friends on live right now? You got the Crucible. You've got who else do we have? Anyone? Bueller. Let's see if Joey is on. Joey's on. So we will raid Joey because Joey's a good dude. I think he's playing a video game right now. He's playing a video game right now. So we can go raid him. But yes, let's stay tuned for tomorrow's live stream because I'll still be going on, probably overlapping some of this stuff. I know there's so much going on in the world right now, so between the Epstein files, between election results, between all this other shit, it's just one thing after another, right? But I appreciate everyone in the live stream. Make sure you check out Chainsaw Caucus. They are the unofficial affiliates and co-sponsors here on Break the Chains Media. The pinned description is below. You can check out the tiny link right there, and you can actually donate. $10 a month gets you access to the Chainsaw Caucus and Break the Chains Media. It helps support the cause, cutting through government corruption, bloat, and the evil that is what we just talked about for the last hour and a half. Getting rid of these corrupt politicians that weaponize the government against us. Chainsaw Caucus, make sure that they are held to account and we fell those corrupt politicians. So Chainsaw Caucus is excellent. Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Come pick up a bottle of Realm Walker Hot Sauce for your holidays. I got 4 gallons in the works right now. So you can come pick up a bottle of Realm Walker Hot Sauce. Message me on X, Break the Chains M. You can message Realm Walker Hot Sauce on Instagram. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. But without further ado, folks, without anything else, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you all for joining Break the Chains Media. And as always, fight for freedom and never give up.